Welcome back. Now, as part of efforts aimed at monitoring revenue accruing to the federal government, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria to take over the responsibility for crude oil sales from Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso, who announced this last week, said the collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and the NNPCL is to ensure that all foreign inflows are returned to the Apex Bank. Under the new arrangement, the NNPCL will submit receipts for crude oil sales to CBN for vetting and documentation. However, some stakeholders have opposed the arrangement as opaque, describing the purported presidential directive as a violation of the legal status of the national oil company. The NNPCL over the years has maintained sole control over crude oil sales, only rendering accounts to the federal government. The stakeholders believe any attempt to undermine the operational independence of the NNPCL will be a hindrance to any chance of attracting investments and attaining global relevance in the petroleum industry. Let's discuss this further now. I'm being joined on the program by financial expert Kalu Aja, who joins us from the United States of America. Mr. Aja, thank you very much for joining us on the program. What's your take on this new directive by the president and the entire arrangement?
Yeah, well, DEJI, I want to look back just to get the background of what's going on, right? The NNPC is the operator, the CBN is the banker, and there's this account in America run by JP Morgan that's supposed to receive the remittances, right, of oil sales for Nigeria. But if you notice, I think it was 2020 when the CBN governor, then Governor Mefele, said the NNPC had not made any remittances to the Central Bank of Nigeria. This is the problem, that the NNPC as the operator is able to withhold revenues, oil sale revenues from the CBN and of course from the FAC where the funds are located. And that's the problem. That's what the president's memo is trying to address, that the operator of the oil sales in Nigeria, right, the revenues that come from Nigeria, is able to withhold and in maybe using the authority of the president to then pay pure subsidy payments from those oil sales that are made in dollars. This is what this memo is trying to address, to clearly separate the operator from the banker. So all they're saying is simply this: NNPC, go ahead and sell crude oil, go ahead and do your normal business, but the flow has got to go to the bank first before any debits are then made from that bank account. That's really what they're trying to say, because if you look at it, it's exactly what they're saying is what should happen on paper. But in reality, the NNPC is able to withhold one before it goes to the bank. And this is what we're trying to address.
Now, for a very long time, people have also said, look, the way the NNPC is run, especially in terms of its finances, that everything is opaque, there's no transparency and even accountability. So will this actually help in terms of transparency and accountability?
Clearly, it's clearly a memo of transparency and accountability, because all it's saying is that let's see the inflows first. Don't debit your inflows and pay your operations. Let's see the whole inflows first go to the bank, then request that you want to pay this supplier or pay that subsidy from the bank so we can track what you're making. Because, you can't be earning and spending without, oversight. That's what the memo is trying to address. So clearly, it's clearly a play for transparency, clearly a play to see what's actually going on behind the books in NNPC. That's just my take.
Does this in any way undermine the independence of the NNPC, as some people have argued, including the former vice president of this country?
Well, the NNPC for now is still owned by the federal government of Nigeria, I'm sure by the Federation. It's still NNPC Limited, it's not the PLC, it's still owned by the Federation. So the president, quote unquote, still has that control over it. I don't see how it impugns on the independence of the NNPC. All they are saying is this: if you sell your products, pay to the bank. If you want to get a first charge, go to the bank and request. They can still run their operations by having, internal memos to say, okay, when the bank gets this fund, it pays this supplier immediately. They can do all that. But the NNPC has not run itself in a manner that allows us to rely on them for transparency and accountability. Hence, the memo has come. Yeah.
Now, there's this other side that I want us to also look at. Does this help in terms of, forex inflow into the government coffers now, especially into the CBN. Does this in any way help to ensure that there's constant forex inflow and sort of also help to, if you like, drive up the country's reserve? How are all of this connected to that?
Yeah, well, this is exactly why the memo has come out, because the problem with the naira being weak is that there's no supply of dollars into Nigeria through the Central Bank of Nigeria. And Nigeria's main source of revenues in terms of dollar is oil sales. But the NNPC gets dollar sales and maybe it's paying a subsidy or paying something else. So the CBN is not getting ammunition to fight in the currency market. This memo is addressing directly that issue, to give the Central Bank of Nigeria the capacity to have funds in its reserves that they can then decide when to deploy. So once speculators see the reserves of the Central Bank of Nigeria rising, the speculation will stop. There's speculation because the Central Bank of Nigeria does not have enough reserves to defend the naira. It doesn't even have to defend. It simply has to show that it has reserves. So there's speculation when, of course, your currency is too expensive and you have no reserves to defend it, which is what's happening right now in Nigeria. So once the CBN can post an extra $10 billion in its reserves, the speculation dies away. And that's what this memo is going to directly to address.
Now, looking at it also from the other angle, could this in any way compromise the operations of the NNPC in the sense of, bureaucracy now hampering its decision making in terms of investments and all of that? Because just as you've said, in this case, the NNPC wants to make maybe some expenditure and all of that. It has to probably do a memo, get approval and all of that. And that in the course of doing this, the process might get bogged down in bureaucratic bottlenecks and all of that. Do you think this could, by any chance, affect its operations so that it's not able to take, decisions now with speed?
Well, it's a fair point to say the bureaucracy, or should we say the operation of the NNPC, are now going to be, should we say, superseded or approved by the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's a fair point. But what expenses do they want to make? If they want to make a huge project that's going to cost billions of dollars, of course, they still would have gone to the president or the board of NNPC to get that approved. So they can't just write a check and make that payment. If they want to buy lunch, they have their petty cash or their operational allowance that they can use. I think we're talking about oil sales here. When you sell crude oil, the money should flow according to the Constitution to one of the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation. You should go there and sit there. Then you then get disbursements from there. It's not just NNPC, NPA, even the CBN, all this federation, all these MDAs do not pay or remit 100% to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. But that's what the Constitution says. So in a way, the president himself might be putting himself in the box now, right? We know that today, subsidy is being paid today. Who is paying it, we don't know. So if you then allow the central bank or the NNPC to make payments 100% to the CBN, then we will see who is making those payments for subsidies, because there's going to be transparency across the board. So yes, some operations might take longer, but if it's a good and approved operation from the NNPC, it will be approved. So this is to say, let's get all the funds in, let's see what you actually make, then you can go ahead and request to spend. And I think it's just for transparency and accountability.
Mr. Kalu Aja, national expert, thank you very much for your time and thanks for joining us on the program.
You're welcome, DEJI. Take care.
Thank you very much. I will take a short break and we'll be right back. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.